Hello, and thank you for joining us for another edition of True Talk. Today I'd like to talk about the content of our True Insights that's related to this True Talk, where we talk about the power of using images and metaphors when you need to give a presentation or give a proposal. So today I'd like to give you two examples of how leaders that I coach have used this very effectively. In the first example, I once coached the country head for Taiwan, who needed to go every year to Singapore for an annual meeting with all of the other country heads in the region. They needed to take turns presenting the achievements and the results from the last year, and then make a proposal for the next year. So in that particular year, he had quite a big budget ask, and he decided that he wanted to do something different to make it more persuasive. So we ended up developing a presentation that began with a story about sailboats. When he was telling the story about the situation for the last year and their results, he started by showing a picture of a sailboat on smooth waters. And that was Q1, is what he told the audience. And then he switched to an image of a sailboat in a storm. So very huge waves and wind and so forth, very, very dark, very scary. And that was Q2 and Q3 of that year, where they had had some competitive pressure and some supply chain issues that had affected business. He ended the narration of the last year by showing an image of the original sailboat back in the smooth waters, told the group, fortunately, by the end of the year, things had leveled out and we were able to just barely make our targets for the year. Now, when he went to make his budget ask and his proposal for the next year, he switched to a different image. He had a bigger, nicer boat, and it was heading in the direction of new territories, new places that they had not been to. And his message was, there are actually a lot of great opportunities. Those are the new areas, the new territories that he showed in his images. In our market. These are things that we can do to increase business, but in order to do that, we're going to need a bigger, stronger boat, which was his budget ask. Some more headcount, some changes in the way they did things, upgrades to facilities, and so forth. He came back from Singapore. I was very excited to find out how things went, and he said, True, for the first time, after going to this meeting 5 years, for the very first time, I got my full budget ask. And so that's an example of the power of using a strong metaphor. He said, in fact, in this case, after he made his presentation, people for the next couple of days were talking about sailboats and using that metaphor to think about their own markets. It was so powerful. In the second example, I coached a leader fairly recently who made a strategy presentation. And in that presentation, she showed a picture of a surfer on a surfboard, again with the ocean, but this time on a surfboard. And her point was, okay, we've got this big, beautiful ocean. There are waves that we can surf on, but we are sitting on our surfboard watching those waves go by. And then she explained that the waves represent the opportunities in our market that we have not really taken. In other words, unexploited market segments that they really should consider getting into. She said, so far, we have been content to sit on our surfboard and watch those waves pass us by. This resonated very well with the leaders, senior leaders in the audience. They ended up really liking the image and the meaning behind it, and supporting her idea to go and develop some markets that they hadn't really touched in the past. So, if you want to make your next presentation, any presentation in the future, any proposal more powerful and more persuasive, consider using images and metaphors to tell your story. Thank you very much. See you next time.